This Ironman helmet costs between 100 and 150 euros. But why not make it myself with 3D printing? I asked myself several questions. Is it complicated? How long will it take me? And is it really worth it?
Today we're going to build this 3D printed Ironman helmet. Ironman is my favorite superhero and he has a lot of helmets. That's why when I started 3D printing, the first thing I wanted to do is one of his helmets. And I know that we have a lot of options on the market, but in this video we're going to discover if it's better to make it or buy it. Let's go. This one is the first helmet I ever made using 3D printing. It has several flaws. For example, it's huge. Back when I started, I didn't know how to size it properly. And as you can see, it looks very weird. I also have a lot of visible layer lines and the paint job is not quite good. And this is the helmet we can find on the market. It costs around 150 and 200 euros and I propose you to do the unboxing together to find out what is inside.
Let's start with the unboxing. The helmet is well protected. And as you can see, inside of the helmet we have some LEDs. The red color looks very nice. However, I don't like the gold color as much. It doesn't give me the metallic effect that I want. The helmet opens very easily and can be adjusted to several different sizes. Overall, I think the helmet is great and a good choice for its price.
To measure the true cost of manufacturing of a 3D printed helmet, we will define 3 different categories. For this project, I will not 3D model the helmet, instead of that I will go buy the 3D model. For the second category we will have the cost of materials. Here we will have the sandpaper, the primer and of course the paint. And finally we will measure labor. Here I will measure how much time we will spend sanding and painting. Because sanding and painting is the most important part of getting a 3D printed part to a more realistic one. Here I will measure how much time I will spend doing this. To simplify all these estimations, I will use an hourly rate of 15 euros. And if you want me to change something for the future videos, please don't hesitate to leave your comment if you want me to change the categories or the hourly rate.
Let's start by looking for the 3D file. I like to use wireframe. On this website you will find a lot of very interesting 3D files. As for the helmet, I'm going to choose the one from VEC 3D. VEC has many other models, so don't hesitate to take a look. The helmet costs 30 euros. Once the file is downloaded, we will have several folders with the pieces already separated. This will be very handy when we are going to work with the scale. I use 3D Builder to scale them. In this software we can import all the helmet parts. And 3D Builder will automatically assemble them. Like this, we can save the complete helmet as a new file. Next, I'm going to download the reference head from Printables. All you have to do is measure your head and compare it to the model that most closely matches it. I recommend downloading the Uncle Jesse's file if you have any trouble measuring your head. I will open the head and the helmet file in the slicer, and I like to delete some pieces to see inside of the helmet. The 100% scale works fine for me, but for an even better fit, I'm going to go for the 98%. Once we are sure of the dimension, we will move on to orienting the parts. I recommend using a good brim on the build plate and also some tree support. You don't need a large 3D printer. I printed everything with the MK4S and the Prusa Core one.
I'm very happy with the final result of these prints. I found that the MK4S and the Core one did a great job, but it's not perfect and still looks like a 3D printed part. That's why we will need to sand it. For this project I choose to use 2 different filaments, the CosPL8 and the Polydite. The main reason is to compare which one will sand better. And by the way, the scale, it's just perfect.
I use approximately 1 kilo of filament, which costs about 27 euros.
I hate sanding, but we cannot escape if we want something to look great. Before start post-processing, my best advice is to do it in a well-ventilated area with some safety gear.
I'm going to start by sanding the parts with a 240 grit sandpaper. However, you can start with 180 depending on the quality of the part. We are going to sand and clean the part before moving on to the primer. I'm going to use a filler primer to cover all the imperfections. I'm going to apply 2 or 3 coats, but it's very important to leave a little time for it to dry thoroughly. I tried the cosplay and honestly I think it sounds better, but more tests will have to be done. Now we are going to sand again the part with 400 or 500 grit sandpaper. And for the pieces most affected by the supports, I recommend using some putty. This way, after a good sanding session, you can achieve a clean result. Now let's move to preparing the paint. Here I'm going to use a black base to highlight the metallic colors. From experience, 1 can is enough to make 2 helmets, so I'm going to count half of its price each time. Once the parts are dry, we are going to apply the metallic red. It is very important to prepare some supports for painting the pieces. Here, for example, I have used some empty plastic containers to hold them securely. Now let's paint the metallic gold. You have to take the time to cover the pieces that will be a different color. For this part, I had to apply black to achieve the same shade as the gold on the mask. And what a joy when it's time to uncover the pieces. We are almost done. For the varnish, I'm going to use the 2-component version. This will allow me to highlight the colors even more. But sadly, the spray can only be used once. After 24 hours, it will harden and can no longer be used. So, if you have several helmets to varnish, I recommend you to varnish them all together. For this helmet, I bought very powerful magnets to remove the jaw. This is necessary if you want to wear it. But if it's just only for decoration, it's not really that necessary. I spent about 10 hours sanding and painting the helmet, which bring the labor cost to 150 euros.
And here we have the final result of this 3D printed helmet. I will proceed with the reveal, and after that I will share with you the cost of fabrication. Like that we can compare our 3D printed helmet versus the other one. Let's go! Here's the final result, and I really think that looks incredible. Also, creating something like this from a 3D file, it's just like being Tony Stark. And I know you're waiting for the final answer on how much it will cost to create it by yourself, and here is the answer. Yes, I know that it's way expensive than the one that we found in Amazon and other places, and this is because we spend a lot of time painting, sanding, and preparing the files for 3D printing. But with a 3D printed helmet like this, we have a lot of potential. We can add some LEDs, and also we can add some servo motors to open and close the faceplate. I think this Hasbro helmet is a good choice for somebody who doesn't have a 3D printed and also who doesn't want to spend a lot of time sanding and painting. It looks really great. The only thing I don't like is the faceplate. We cannot open and close it. Also, the color of the faceplate I think doesn't look quite well. I really like our 3D printed helmet, but I know that it can be a challenge and it takes a lot of time. At the end, it's your decision if you make it or buy it. If you like this video, please subscribe. My name is Carlos and see you next time. Bye bye.